Okay, I've got a proposal for you guys out there. Girls, whoever wants to go. The idea is to pedal Minnehaha Creek from Minnetonka, the source at Grays Bay, to the confluence with the Mississippi River. That is 22 miles. Pedal it during the winter time, of course, when it's completely frozen. And I'm talking about pedaling on the creek itself. This is my third time out. It's certainly doable. All the bikes that I've seen down here so far are fat tire bikes. My bike is just a straightforward mountain bike, but with studded tires on it. And I find for most of the terrain it works pretty good. Let me tell you about the terrain of the river. It changes constantly. It originally froze up when there was much more water in it. And what has happened is the ice has, or the water has receded underneath the ice shelf. And then the ice shelf in some areas has caved and fallen in. I have yet to go down with an ice shelf, but that doesn't mean it can't happen, so you have to wear a helmet. I've also run into a fair amount of open water where there's warm water coming in. In Edina, close to the church in Wooddale there, that was all open water, and it was full of ducks, and you end up walking through somebody's backyard, but I'm sure legally we have easement to get through. Also, if you want to go ahead and try riding the creek, the bottom is froze up pretty good. You just obviously don't want to get into very deep water, or sometimes it's hard to see just exactly what the bottom of the creek is like if it's full of big rocks. It could put you on your butt, and then you're going to end up being wet. I have found that when you go underneath the bridges, they're all different, but the one thing that they all have in common, and there's quite a number of them, it's glare ice underneath, and it's dark. It is slick. So if you could put studded tires on, not just have real aggressive tread, but have studded tires on, that'll help you stay up on the glare ice. Otherwise, I would recommend carefully shuffling through until you get to the other side. One of the more fascinating bridges that I went underneath was actually a culvert, and it goes underneath France Avenue. And it has, I would guess, about a 35-degree bend in the middle of it. So light doesn't travel through it. You just ride into the darkness. And you can barely see a bend coming up. You really can't see the ice at all because that's dark. And finally, when you get about halfway through, then light leaks through on the other side, and you're able to see where you're going. There was one area where I did climb up an ice floe. There was like a flood control gate, and water would naturally go over that. And I remember shooting that in a canoe one time. About a 2 or 3 foot drop. It's not much, and I thought, well, I can get up that with my studded tires, and I did. I gave it all that I had. I got up the thing, and then it got a little crunchy at the top, because you don't know what's at the top. I was afraid there was open water. As far as food, in keeping with the theme of going as light as you possibly can, I would go with pocket food. I would bring Slim Jims, Power Bars, cheese sticks, seeds if you want. Clothing, just dress light. Maybe bring an extra pair of gloves if you can. If you go wear a small pack or a small day pack, nothing bulky. Pack an extra pair of gloves, maybe an extra pair of socks. Make sure you have like a matches with or a lighter with, just in case you have to build a fire somewhere. If somebody goes through, what we have to do is we have to stop and dry them out. That's certainly conceivable, even though there's not a whole lot of water in the creek. The other thing that's probably very important to wear on this particular trip, and my kids will get a kick out of this because I never wear one, but they gave me one for Christmas, and that's a helmet. Very important. However, I got to tell you, as soon as I got on the creek, what happened was a branch went into one of those vent holes, hooked my helmet, and took me off the back end of my bike. I couldn't figure out who was trying to pull me off the bike. I thought God was saying, you know what, that's enough, boy. You're doing something really stupid here. You're coming off that bike. And that was a branch. My thinking is that everybody should be in position out at Grays Bay. There's a canoe landing out there. I would give that location to everyone at daybreak. Also on this trip, you have to have backup. You have to have some sort of support. If you get all totally gassed out and you say, I can't go any further, I'm beat, then you give your ride a call and you have them pick you up. So after looking at this video, if you're thinking to yourself, yeah, man, I'd like to try that, you know what, send me a note, and we'll put the group together and we'll try and get this on the calendar for the winter. If we get a whole lot of snow, forget about it. It ain't going to happen. But with the weather conditions the way they are right now, this is very doable. And as far as the trip itself, I think it's really unique. I've not read or seen a news report or any kind of story about people biking on the creek from the source to the confluence of the Mississippi River, the Minnehaha Creek. We might be the first.